Next, let's move on to user creation, authentication, and connection management in Sendbird. So users correspond to a single individual in Sendbird. So one user and your app should be tied to one Sendbird user. It's a one-to-one map. They're going to be connecting to Sendbird by calling the connect method in the SDK. And they're considered as one authenticated user and one connected user. They can have special properties on them, such as metadata. Many customers like to add additional user information in these fields. We recommend keeping private information about the users that's not necessary for use in Sendbird on your within your own system. But if you need to expose any properties to Sendbird's side, this is a great way to do it in this metadata field. Users can log in with just their user ID. If you want a really fast login experience, this is great for like live events where you don't need to have a specifically authenticated user. But we strongly recommend that you do have user authentication with either an access token or a session token, and the most secure being session token. So just to kind of step you through, the client side is going to issue a request to create the user. And then, so this might be your front end app. And then your application on the back end is going to make a request to Sendbird to create that user, and the user will be created and an access token can be issued upon that creation to Sendbird. And then your server can save this access token ahead of time for the user when they actually want to go and connect. So this user creation can be done ahead of time. So if you don't want to have it ad hoc, the client ad hoc creating these users, that's fine. So just have them create ahead of time. And then these tokens can be issued out for the users right away as that user is created. So here's a breakdown of the access token versus session token. So access tokens are stateless, whereas session tokens are stateful tokens. And session tokens, they actually have an expiration. So this is the big differentiator. Their default is they expire within 7 days. Session tokens, a single user can have up to 100 of them. And what happens is if they actually reach 100, the oldest token will be revoked, and then the new one can be added into it. So, and they're automatically revoked after that expiration of the default of 7 days. And then once their user is their tokens are only used for authentication. So just be aware that even if they're revoked, the connection may still be active for the user. So until they disconnect or end their session, then they won't need a new token. So user IDs. So user IDs are mapped in Sendbird side, and they can be mapped directly to the user IDs in your own database. However, if that's important information, sensitive information such as the user's email address, we recommend just having a special user ID for Sendbird that's just mapped to the customer's user ID on your own side. So we don't have that confidential information. And just an added layer of security if you need that. The advantages of these access tokens is that you don't need to reissue them since they never expire. But then if the token is compromised, you'll need to manually revoke a bunch of tokens in order to issue out a new token. The session tokens, however, don't require that. So they can be cached and then they expire automatically, and it's easy to revoke them as well. Sendbird, we're working on some support for JWT tokens if that's something that you're interested in as well. So Sendbird, we can support multiple device types, so iPhone, Android, website. We've seen customers using React Native, so they can bundle all everything with use of the JavaScript SDK. And the user authentication goes through the tokens, as mentioned before. And then all the traffic is coming on our platform and the devices that are actually running the Sendbird SDK. So there's nothing that you really need to be concerned about. Is, you know, we're going to handle all this chat traffic for you. We'll make sure all the, you know, information stays in sync between different devices, even if the user's logged in on multiple devices at the same time. And then of course your server, if you have a backend that's calling directly into Sendbird, that's definitely supported. Let's just talk a minute through how connection management is handled with Sendbird. So if the connection is lost from Sendbird server, the Sendbird SDK actually tries to reconnect automatically. So in the event that this the server can, or the SDK cannot automatically handle that connection, it's going to retry up to 5 times. And then it will actually fire events in the SDK that will tell you if the reconnect succeeded or if the reconnect failed. In the event that the reconnect actually fails and you get an event that tells you that reconnection failed, you'll just have to manually connect that user through Sendbird.connect with the user's information to reconnect them to the WebSocket connection with the SDK.